Hey everyone, so if you're new over here on my channel, my name is Tish, and in today's video I'm going to be discussing a few changes that I've made as of late. So what I am eating, I'm going to be discussing the reasons behind my decision to reintroduce some animal foods back into my diet and all of that stuff. So before I get into the video, I just wanted to mention that of course what I'm about to explain is based on my experience. This is my truth, my reality, so your experience may be totally different, and that's fine. We are all different. We're all individuals. I just ask that you listen to what I say with an open mind. I ask that you keep the comment section respectful, and I just wanted to say that I am in no way calling out for help. This isn't a video to open up the floodgates for advice. I'm really secure and feel confident in the decisions that I have made as of late. So I thought it would make sense to give you guys a little background information. Some of you may be new over here on my channel, and some of you may not even know how I got into cooking, with plant-based food. So I'm going to start from the beginning, right up until now, and everything that has sort of transpired in between. So before the age of 15, growing up in my household, I would have a combination of really good home cooked foods and convenience processed foods. I would eat fish, chicken, a little bit of red meat, eggs and dairy. So I was about 15 years old. This would have been maybe 2003, 2004, somewhere around that time. My mum got into something called macrobiotics, which is a Japanese approach to healing with foods. I took an interest in it. I was really fascinated. I was learning a lot. This was like the main introduction, I guess, to plant-based cooking, and I guess that was like the start of my passion for cooking. That was what really ignited the flame. I was never rigid with macrobiotics. I kind of took what I needed from it and applied it to my life, but I would say that it definitely set a strong foundation for my cooking style. So it taught me the importance of using seasonal local produce. It taught me how to prepare beans and grains and soak them properly and cook them. That's why you guys always see me using my little pressure cooker in my videos. Most importantly, I think it gave me a really healthy relationship with food. So it made me understand the importance of cooking with intention, using my intuition. So really kind of shaped, I guess, me as an intuitive cook. So that was the most exciting time. That was when I threw myself into the kitchen. I began to teach myself how to cook, how to use different herbs, how to use different spices, how to flavor combine. So I'd say that I got into this not through any type of fear factor or me feeling guilty. It was purely based on just me listening to my body and kind of being guided. Age 16, I eliminated chicken, I eliminated dairy for the most part, and all red meat. So I was only kind of occasionally eating a little bit of egg and a little bit of fish. Fast forward a couple of years, I would have been 18, it was my first year of uni, and I broke out in terrible acne all over my face. I had no idea at the time what was causing it. I was at a complete loss because to me at the time I had a perfect, varied, balanced diet. When I look back with a different perspective now, I kind of think that there may be a possibility that at that age, whilst I'm still growing, I'm still in my teenage years, that me eliminating certain foods at such a young age may have contributed to me not getting the right nutrients and therefore my skin kind of reacting. Another reason possibly could have been that I was having a really challenging home life at that time. So yeah, there are different factors that could have played into me breaking out like that. For the next couple of years, my acne would come and go. There'd be periods where my skin would clear up and I'd think, oh, it's finally getting better. Then suddenly I'd get this really terrible breakout that would last for weeks, and that would be really painful and cause me a lot of discomfort. So I went to see a dermatologist. The dermatologist prescribed me some antibiotics straight away. I went home, I took the antibiotics, but my body rejected them immediately. My body was like, no way, we're not doing this. That was definitely a blessing in disguise. And from that point, I made a promise to myself. I said that I was going to treat the root cause of what was causing my skin to be inflamed. I wasn't going to try and mask it with any type of pill, antibiotic or anything. I wanted to treat my body holistically. That was the beginning of my healing journey, not just with regards to what I was eating, but also taking into consideration my emotional and spiritual well-being. I really got into cooking with plant-based foods even more, if that was even possible. I started cooking more, I started creating recipes, I started experimenting, I started doing more research, I started juicing, sprouting, fermenting. So yeah, I was like fully immersed in it, totally. Eventually my skin did improve. It never got to the point where I didn't have breakouts. I would constantly have breakouts throughout the month, just on different areas of my face, but it definitely improved from the initial kind of acne, really terrible acne phase. So from the age of 18 up until recently, if you guys want to get an idea of the types of foods that I would eat, what my staples were, you can go back and have a look at my previous YouTube videos. That will give you like a true reflection of what my diet consisted of. I've never ever been into like mock foods or fake foods. I know those work for some people, but they just never ever appealed to me, so I never ate those. I've always been really dedicated to having a whole foods, plant-based diet, which was really rich in a lot of seasonal local vegetables. Like that has always been my thing. I would soak things from like 2 days before. Like I was prepared, I was organized. I truly believe that I was getting everything that I needed from my well-balanced diet, combining that with the supplements and the herbs that I would use as well. So my day would go something like this. I would start off with a herbal tea, then I'd have a little bit of local fruit. I would have a savory breakfast usually, or sometimes I would have a porridge made from quinoa or teff or amaranth, sweeten it with a tiny bit of honey. In between breakfast and lunch, I'd have a homemade green juice that I would take on the go with me. Lunch would consist of some local seasonal vegetables, so whatever was in season, with plenty of greens, so kale, rocket. I would have quinoa with that, lots of olive oil, tahini dressing, avocado, some black beans maybe, some sweet potato butternut squash. Dinner would be something like a one pot, or maybe a recipe that I had been experimenting with. I just wanted to make it clear that I never ever followed what in some people's minds may be seen as a fad diet or an extreme diet. I was always really focused on getting the best nutrition, and I was always eating enough. So I had my first red flag, even though I didn't take heed of this red flag at the time. When I was about 23 years old, I was eating my lunch and I wasn't eating anything hard, I know that for sure, and my tooth broke, literally just broke in half. It was a molar, it was a strong tooth, and I went to the dentist, and at the time I didn't make a connection between my teeth possibly being weak, so weak that a tooth would break in half, and me maybe not getting the right nutrients in my diet. Like I just didn't have the knowledge at the time. Prior to that tooth breaking, age 23, I never had any issues, not one issue with my teeth. I never had any cavities growing up. Me and my brothers, we all had strong, healthy teeth. In my mind at that time, I was doing everything. Like I was eating the perfect diet. I was doing everything to maintain healthy teeth. I wasn't ever a crazy sugar fiend. I never drank fruit juices, like boxed fruit juices or whatever. I had the occasional treat, but nothing crazy. I would rinse my mouth straight away anytime I would have any dried fruit or fresh fruit. And then I would brush half an hour after, so there was no reason why sugar would have caused my tooth to break. On reflection now, I realized that I just wasn't getting the right nutrients. That's why my teeth at that point was starting to get really weak and fragile. It's 2015 and I had been eating a predominantly plant-based diet for around 10 years. I say predominantly because I would have the occasional egg or fish, maybe 3 or 4 times a year, not often, but I decided, something made me decide that I no longer wanted any animal foods in my diet whatsoever, except for honey, because I was never gonna give up honey. And I like kind of rack my brains now and think like, why did I make that decision? And I honestly think that I made that decision from a place of that I no longer needed animal foods. Like this was the ultimate goal for me, to be fully plant-based, and that was how I was going to sustain my body for the rest of my life. I just wanted to mention that during those 10 years, from like 2004 to 2015, like I would be fully plant-based for long periods of time, for maybe like 1.5 years. Then I'd be away and want a piece of fish, and I would never like deprive myself. I just ate what I wanted. So it's 2016 and I create this YouTube channel and I start just falling in love with cooking even more. So I started creating recipes, sharing recipes. You guys loved my recipes. I had no idea at the beginning when I was creating my YouTube channel that anyone would even be interested in. I guess it was just like a creative outlet that I wanted to do, but it definitely built my confidence and it made me realize that I can actually do something in my life as a career, something that I actually genuinely love. So end of 2017, I started to have some red flags again, which were teeth related again, and also my cognitive health, like my brain health. With regards to my teeth became painfully sensitive suddenly. All of a sudden they became sensitive, and I noticed that when I was flossing, my gums would bleed. So I went straight to the dentist before I was due my checkup, and I kind of asked the dentist like, what's going on? He said to me, he asked me like a strange question. Well, it was strange at the time, but he asked me, am I drinking fizzy drinks? And I was so confused. I was like, no, I never ever touch fizzy drinks. I eat a lot of fresh vegetables. I eat a lot of greens. If I'm juicing, I'm only juicing greens. The dentist asking me if I drink fizzy drinks made something click in my mind and made me sort of look at things that maybe I hadn't seen, which were right in front of my eyes. And that is that, no, I'm not eating quote unquote sugar, but something is acidic in my diet. Something is causing my teeth to basically degenerate. So the dentist was ultimately telling me that I needed some teeth filled, and I just didn't understand, like this just didn't make sense. So I went home, I did some research. I started researching a plant-based diet. Is there any connection to a plant-based diet and basically teeth becoming weak or having teeth issues? And so I came across a guy called Ramal Nigel. I'm actually going to put his name here. So I went onto his website and I had the shock of my life. He was speaking about regenerating teeth, remineralizing teeth, sorry, and was speaking about all these healing foods that he would recommend, none of which were plant-based. They were all animal foods, which included bone broth, organ meats, raw unpasteurized dairy, eggs. So I was like, what? Like, I don't understand. And at that time, I definitely wasn't ever closed-minded in a sense that I wouldn't listen to new information, but I just wasn't ready at that time to kind of take it on board fully. But it definitely planted a seed. I was determined to remineralize my teeth without any animal foods. I thought, I can do this. Like, there has to be something out there. Some of you guys might remember that I made a video at the end of 2017 and I spoke about a remineralizing tooth powder that I would be using. So that was around that time. With regards to my cognitive brain health, I started to notice in 2018 like this decline in my memory. Like, my memory was getting so bad. So an example of how bad my memory was getting is that I've been using the same pin for my debit card for like two years plus, and I went to pay for something and it just went, like, I totally forgot for about 48 hours. I could not remember my PIN, and that was like a big wake-up call. Like, something just doesn't seem right. Also, my moods were like up and down. Like, I just didn't feel stable. Things were just not adding up. So I started to ask myself more questions, and the scariest thing for me is anything to do with brain health. Like, I am aware that dementia and Alzheimer's, like, they all begin in your 20s. Like, you want to really take care of yourself from young. I just thought, like, I cannot mess around anymore. Like, something is not right. And that's clear. Let me do something about it. Summer of last year, I went to get my bloods done, thinking like, I'm gonna be fine. I've been supplementing, I've been eating a really balanced diet, still in denial, not making the connection that maybe I need to add something to my diet. So I got my bloods done, I got the results back, and I was just really disappointed that what I saw was what I saw. I was super deficient in B12. I had a vitamin D deficiency. I was critically deficient in iron, which explained why I had been having the most debilitating, painful periods. It took me another 6 or 7 months to actually like wrap my head around everything, to finally make the decision to introduce some animal foods back into my diet. It took me so long to break free from this box that I didn't even realize I had put myself in. I didn't even realize that I was so dependent on this one way of doing things. I was dependent on something that clearly just wasn't working for me. Like, my body was screaming, my body was crying. It was like, please listen. I've always stressed to you guys the importance of soaking, especially if you were eating a predominantly whole foods plant-based diet that consists of nuts, seeds, beans, grains, legumes. Like, make sure that you are soaking, preparing your food right. In my case, I was doing all of that. I was soaking my beans for 48 hours with some lemon juice and sea salt in warm water. Like, I was doing everything that I thought I should be doing, but I still hit a wall. On paper, these foods have a fantastic nutrient content, but I'm trying to explain that if my body is not absorbing these foods due to the high amount of phytic acid, which is blocking the mineral absorption, then I cannot continue to have that as like the main base of my diet. Like, I need to be able to introduce other foods. I know now what my body needs after maybe ignoring it for quite a while. So I would just urge everyone to do the same thing. If you want to be fully plant-based, then great. If it's working for you, fantastic. I know people who have been doing this for 20 years and they're still at it. And I know some people who after 4 years, they start getting serious symptoms. So it's just different for everybody. Everyone is going to react differently. To be honest, I think that I lasted a long time doing this, like close to 15 years on a predominantly plant-based diet, and I think that was probably down to the amount of fats that I ate. I never ever gave up fats. I never went oil-free, thank God. Yeah, I'm gonna put it out there that I've never been anti-animal foods. I've never preached on this channel. I've never told anyone what to eat. I've only ever celebrated doing what is best for you as an individual, like finding your way in your kitchen, cooking what works for you, finding what foods feel good. Animal foods, up until recently, just did not appeal to me, but I've had to unlearn, to relearn, to unlearn, to relearn, that unlearning, relearning, never-ending cycle, and I have had to, yeah, shift my perspective, and I now realize the importance of animal foods in my diet at this present time. I'll give you a few examples, things that I didn't even realize that may improve on me introducing animal foods. Like I said, the main reason were for my teeth and for my cognitive brain function. So about 8 years ago when I was doing Bikram yoga, I got a groin injury that has never ever healed. I had so many physio sessions and it really affected my running. Up until recently, I could not run, say, for like 3 days in a row. Otherwise my leg would just like seize up and I'd be in so much pain. Since introducing some animal foods, it seems like the healing process is like taking place now. I was able to run a few weeks ago for like a whole week without my legs seizing up. It's not pain-free totally, but it is like night and day. At the moment, I feel like my blood sugar levels are constant. I no longer get like sugar spikes. I don't feel like I need to snack every hour or every 1 to 2 hours. I don't feel tired by 3 o'clock like I need to nap. I've got energy throughout the day, like really, really high energy. Like I feel like I can be more productive. Finally, my teeth feel like they are getting strong. I have zero sensitivity. My gums are not bleeding anymore. And so I am the happiest person about that, trust me. So something that's really interesting to me, before I started introducing animal foods, I was really kind of worried that my periods would get worse than they already were, which would have been terrible. But the complete opposite happened. For the past couple of months, my periods have actually improved. I'm guessing that's something to do with my iron levels and that maybe I've just kind of balance things out. I feel like I need a combination of plant foods and high quality animal foods, cleansing foods and building foods. In saying that, I know a lot of women who are fully plant-based and say that they have pain-free periods, so I really do believe that it's based on the individual. Another thing that I've noticed is the change in my skin. I would always get hormonal jaw breakouts. I no longer get those breakouts, and I would get just random breakouts on my face at different times of the month. I feel like whatever change I have made, my skin has been consistent. I still get the odd spot, but no major breakouts. Throughout all of my years of eating a predominantly plant-based diet, like my grandparents would always say to me, come on, eat a little bit of fish, like it's not gonna harm you, it's not gonna hurt your health, like you need a little bit of protein. And I'd always be like, no granny, it's fine, I'm fine, I'm getting everything that I need. And then I look at my granddad and he's 83, he's fit, he's healthy, he's active, and then I look at what he eats and he's eating a well-balanced diet consisting of loads of amazing plant foods with animal foods. He grates his cucumber salad every morning, has his herring, has everything else, and he concentrates when he's eating. He's focused on his food, he's fully dedicated to his food. My granddad is my health inspiration. He's not having memory loss. So why the hell am I having memory loss in my 20s? Like, that is crazy. The most important change for me is in my cognitive and brain health. That was what really alerted me. That was like, I guess, the icing on the cake for me when I started to notice a rapid decline. I'm able to concentrate longer than 10 minutes now. I can sit down and read and concentrate and actually read the words and take them in, not just read the words. I've been experimenting with high quality fish oils. I can share those with you if any of you are interested in what I've been taking. I'm sure you're watching and are wondering what high quality animal foods I have added back into my diet. And so I would say, like, The main things are some really good quality local pasture eggs, some fish. Those are like the main two things. I've tried some bone broth for the healing of my teeth. I've tried a little bit of raw unpasteurized grass-fed butter, and I've tried a little bit of chicken, and I've tried a little bit of red meat. So I've made that mistake of following a restrictive diet, and I realized that for me personally that does not work. So I am open right now. I'm trying new things, and I'm subject to change. So the foods that I mentioned just now, they are subject to change. I'm subject to change. We're all growing. We're supposed to change. We're supposed to evolve. And I guess this is like the new chapter in my life. On reflection, I realized that I spent a long time, my teenage years, my early 20s, my late 20s, ultimately on a cleansing diet. I constantly felt like I wasn't cleansing enough, like I needed another detox, like my skin was breaking out. What am I not doing right? Like my diet's not clean enough, like I can do better. Like this constant battle with myself, which, I mean, put aside like my physical health, like my mental health, that couldn't have been healthy. Over the past 6 months, I have spoken to several people on different occasions who have experienced the same thing that I experienced. Their teeth are breaking. The most tragic, worrying thing is when I speak to mothers and they are telling me that their children's teeth are like crumbling, like falling out. Like, that is crazy. Now I am aware that this is not something that just happened to me. I'm sure there are so many other people who have experienced something similar. I just don't think that people are speaking out, maybe for the reason that they feel like it's their personal issue and that it's nothing to do with maybe being deficient and not getting the right nutrients. So I think it's important that people share their experiences. My piece of advice is to start listening to your body, stop listening to an ideology, don't get too wrapped up in it. Like, follow what you want to follow and call yourself what you want to call yourself. But when your health is at risk and you can feel it, or something's not right, like, don't be so boxed into one way of thinking that you're not able to see the signs early on. Throughout these years, I was genuinely doing what I felt was the best thing for my health, and that's the same thing as now. Like, I'm genuinely doing this because I feel like it is best for my health. I feel like my health has suffered from eliminating certain foods for so long. So I'm getting my health back on track, and I genuinely believe that everybody is doing the same thing. Everyone wants the best for themselves, right? And the best for their families. So everyone's coming from a pure place. We're all allowed to make different decisions. We're all allowed to feel out what works best for our bodies as individuals, and we all just need to respect one another and respect each other's choices. I'm not about to go to any extreme. Like I've already mentioned, I'm still eating plant foods. I'm still eating chickpeas. I made a delicious lentil dish earlier. I'm still eating a little bit of quinoa. I still go to the farmer's market every Saturday and get my seasonal produce. As it stands, my diet is still plant focused. It's still plant rich. I am simply adding in some high quality animal foods, where the minerals are bioavailable. My body can assimilate them and my body can absorb them. There may be a food that I decide I want to introduce to my diet. There may be a food that I decide that I want to eliminate, and that is just how my life is going to go. I cannot predict what I will be feeling in 6 months. I don't have the manual to this. I'm just taking each day as it comes. I'm just going with the flow. Hopefully in my case I haven't done any irreversible damage. I'm still young, I'm still active. You know, and I say that with regards to my cognitive and brain health. Like I mentioned, things start as early as your 20s. So yeah, don't take life too seriously, but in a way, like, think about these things for your life later on. I'm so relieved that I've sat down and I've explained things to you guys. Yeah, so hopefully I'll be back soon with some new content. Thank you guys for watching, for listening. Please keep the comments respectful if you have anything to say. Yeah, that's it. See you guys soon.